I guess now we're live.
Okay.
Okay.
We had a nice little rehearsal, didn't we?
Yes, I'm sorry, Joe. I guess I have to hit two buttons to go live, and I thought I did, and I didn't. But at least it wasn't like that one time where we basically went 40 minutes before I discovered it. I think you should have killed me if you had harmed me after that. I would not have blamed you.
Well, anyway.
But you say hello first tonight because, well, I always say hello.
A little bit of dress rehearsal here. Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Joe and Joe Show. Meteorologist Joe Rayo, Fios 1 News, Lower Hudson Valley. He is Joe Cioffi, Fios 1 News, New Jersey, Fios 1 News, Long Island. On this final night of autumn, we're going to transition to winter, astronomically speaking, tomorrow afternoon at 5:23 p.m., although overall, tomorrow will not seem like winter. It's going to feel more like an early spring day with the wet weather, with the windy weather, with the unseasonably mild weather out there. And, Joe, we've got quite a storm that's heading in for tonight and tomorrow.
Yeah, it's unusual. We were talking about this the last couple of days. Unusual this time of year. Not so much that we're getting rain and that even the part of seeing temperatures actually go up into the 60s. That's happened from time to time with storms that have gone to our west. Right. I think the unusual part is the fact that it's rain from Florida all the way up to Maine, and I'm talking all the way up to Caribou, where it almost never rains from December through February.
Right.
There's no cold air to speak of. All this Pacific air that kind of flooded the United States and southern Canada is in complete control. We got a lot of tropical moisture. It's a pretty impressive system here. I'm going to bring up the satellite loop.
Yeah, I use the analogy, the fact that we're not seeing any snow anywhere, even up in the north hinterlands. I use the analogy that's kind of like going to a baseball game, and after 9 innings, everything happens during a baseball game, home runs, base hits, or whatever like that, but not a single strikeout. That doesn't happen very often, and similarly, this doesn't happen very often, where we're not even talking about any snow, even at the very start. If you're up in ski country, and you're saying, well, at least it'll start off with some snow, and no, it's not. It's going to be straight rain and very mild temperatures. Again, it's going to rise into the 50s overnight here in the tri-state New York area, and it will probably be near or even above 60 for a good part of the day tomorrow.
I just want to just interrupt this weather broadcast for 1 second. I want to say hi to Stalin Nunez. You have always had my back, and I appreciate that very much. Merry Christmas to you. Stalin was a director here at Fios 1 News, and he's gone on to onward and upward in his career, and it's always a pleasure and a thrill, and also a treasure to see Stalin on. So I hope everything is well by you. Merry Christmas.
Stalin's memory still sometimes, and it doesn't happen very often here at Fios 1, but sometimes a director will make a mistake, or there'll be a technical glitch somewhere, and I'll look straight into the camera and say, "Where's Stalin? Bring Stalin back."
We miss you, buddy. All right, let's get back to what's going on. So we got, we had severe weather all the way down to Florida. This is one of this storm is impacting travel pretty much everywhere east of the Mississippi. And today was a very big travel day. Tomorrow is a big travel day. Saturday is a big travel day at the local airports. It's not just flying out of New York or flying, but obviously flying into New York, the New York area, New York, New Jersey, Long Island, but also headed down to Florida with severe weather today, and there's going to be gusty winds pretty much east of the eastern third of the U.S. will be getting gusty winds tomorrow. This is all going to be impacting air travels and car travel as well. So just be patient and give yourself a lot of extra time. You can see the satellite signature is very impressive here with what's going on here in the east.
Right, and on the tide cycle tomorrow morning, there is anticipation of minor to moderate coastal flooding. They are talking about at the National Weather Service possibly 2 to 3 feet of inundation. In other words, if you're down by one of these coastal communities around high tide time, the water will lap up and maybe upwards to 2 or 3 feet, and that'll cause some problems if you happen to have travel on a roadway, or if you happen to have property right near the water.
Right.
This is going to be a bad news situation. In addition to all the rain that's going to be falling here.
Now here's
overnight into
WPC's
tomorrow.
Weather Prediction Center's map for the next 7 days, but most of this is front end loaded for us,
Right.
Joe. Every bit of 2 to 3 inches for all of New Jersey, eastern Pennsylvania, southern New England. It's got a little bubble that looks like 3+ over the Hudson Valley, according to them, and into southwestern Connecticut. There are going to be some big downpours with this, and probably even some lightning and thunder at some point tomorrow morning, I think.
Right, and remember that at this time of the year, I mean, it's not exact for every single place within a 75-mile radius of Central Park, but generally speaking, December we see about 4 inches of rainfall. So what we're talking about here, folks, is within a span of, let's say, 12 hours, 3/4 of a month's worth of December rain is going to descend upon the tri-state New York area, and that certainly is going to lead to a very problematic morning commute, I think, on Friday morning.
Oh, it'll probably be an evening commute tomorrow night. It's not going to be a religious experience either, with standing water and
Right.
Even though it'll be at the end of it, it's still maybe playing catch up. Just to give everybody an idea with what's going on watch-wise and warning-wise, we've got a peppering of stuff. We do actually have some winter weather advisories up for parts of northern New England for some snow to sleet to rain. It's going to be a relatively quick changeover. But a lot of these areas are also under flood watches underneath all this. You've got wind advisories, you've got coastal flood warnings up already for the South Shore of Long Island and for coastal New Jersey and for the counties surrounding New York Harbor. We've also have some severe weather off the Carolinas. Wind advisories up for the state of Florida, no less.
Wow.
I mean, the circulation of this storm, as we saw on the loop, on the satellite loop, Joe, it really is extensive. It goes all the way back past the Mississippi River into the Plain States. That's you don't see that too often, even with some of the bigger storms. This has a lot of pull to it.
I guess the lucky thing is that we're seeing all this happen on the 21st of December, not on the 24th or 25th. That's when a lot of people are going to be making treks to or from Grandma's house or to whatever for the upcoming big holiday season. I can't believe that, in the minds at least of the commercial agencies, that it all ends 1 minute after midnight on Tuesday night.
Right.
A lot of the radio stations which have been playing Christmas music endlessly since before Thanksgiving, all of a sudden, in their opinion, it's all over 1 minute after midnight. And I mean, if you and I are from the old school where, for us, our families, we didn't consider the Christmas season over officially until January the 6th. Yeah, the Epiphany.
Which this year is on a Sunday, by the way.
Right.
Here's the the radar is impressive. You can actually,
Yeah.
you see the swirl there down in the Gulf states, in the eastern Gulf, the bottom of this very deep trough that's lifting all of this up. You've got basically a pipeline of tropical moisture go from Florida up through the Carolinas and right up over us, and that rain is now pushed up even into upstate New York. Here's a close-up view. This radar as of 9:30, by the way, Eastern time. So if you're watching this on a replay later on, obviously it's going to be dated, but it is loaded. You've got heavy rains now building up down through Maryland and southeastern Pennsylvania down into North Carolina. This all has to work through here later tonight and into tomorrow morning. And by the way, winds are going to be gusting along the coast for at least about a 6-hour time frame, I would think, between 40 and 50 miles an hour in some places.
Right. So if you're along the south, especially the South Shore of Long Island, where that wind is literally coming right at you, or well, the Jersey Shore, it's not coming right at you, but you're still going to get, as a result of the winds paralleling the Jersey shoreline.
Well, it's going to pile in. That's why the coastal flood warning up for Monmouth County,
right,
is that water is going to pile on into New York Harbor.
Yeah.
And this is a particular problem for the South Shore with the wind south-southeast to south. It's straight in. It's perpendicular to the coastline. So I think you're going to see some moderate coastal flooding. And in some places it might be maybe borderline at the top of that scale, and might even say, I hesitate to use the word major, but anticipate at least moderate coastal flooding in a lot of these areas on the South Shore.
Right. They're talking about minor to moderate, and I think what they're associating that with is for the high tide cycle that comes tonight. In fact, in a matter of a few hours, it will be pretty much minor coastal flooding everywhere. But tomorrow, when we're really in the thick of things, in the morning to midday hours, that's when we may see moderate coastal flooding. And then the winds will begin to relax a little bit. The speeds of the winds will begin to relax a little bit tomorrow evening. So the next high tide cycle, which will be late tomorrow night, will probably still result in some flooding, although it'll be more minor than moderate. So the worst of this is coming, no question about it, during the first half of the day on Friday, in terms of rain, in terms of wind, in terms of potential coastal flooding, and even the threat, again, as you mentioned at the top of the show, Joe, of maybe some rumbles of thunder or flashes of lightning, which doesn't happen too often in this part of the world in the month of December.
All right, so we have the new NAM, so we can take a look at what it's doing, starting at the first frame here was actually from 8 o'clock tonight, and the rain moves up. Here's that heavy rain. We are now at 4 a.m., so it's raining pretty hard. Another surge comes in after 7 a.m., and you can see some really heavy rains here that the NAM is generating over New Jersey, the lower Hudson Valley to New York City. It looks like by 11 o'clock in the morning, even through at least half of Long Island into some of those, you see that bright yellow and orange. This is where I think you might see some thunderstorms getting involved in here.
Right, low top thunderstorm
activity.
And
this is 1 p.m. and we're still going
Yeah.
With respect to the intensity here. And then after that, by about 3 or 4 o'clock, it might be mostly done, if you believe this. Everything starts shifting further east, and the low runs up through Pennsylvania and into western New York. You see a changeover to snow back on the west side of the Appalachians this time around because of the low track. But with some luck, we could see the rain out of New Jersey. This is at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. It's mostly done.
You think we might see a couple of sucker holes and maybe even some pokes of sun?
Wouldn't surprise me. And we are going to go into the 60s, and then the wind, which may actually drop considerably into tomorrow afternoon, will rev up again after the low goes by to the north and the upper trough begins to approach and swing through. You're going to see those winds get strong and gusty from the northwest later Friday night and Saturday. We still have a fairly tight pressure gradient here during the day on Saturday.
Right.
And we can go beyond at least into Sunday afternoon. It looks like a pretty good day on Sunday. There's a little disturbance coming down through the eastern lakes with a little bit of snow there. We were talking about maybe, that there's a chance that we could see a couple of snow showers maybe Sunday night.
Yeah.
We'll see. We'll have the rest of the NAM isn't done yet. As far as Christmas Eve and Christmas Day are concerned, I think it's pretty safe to say that other than these weak little systems going by, which the models really don't do anything with to speak of, we're going to be fine through Christmas Day, and probably may have to wait until next Thursday night when we'll have the next weather system approaching with some more rain.
Right, and we were speculating on your YouTube show a little while ago that this next round, if we manage to get a cold enough high in place in just the right position.
In fact, I'll pull up the parallel GFS,
right,
which has got a colder look to it because we actually, Joe, do have a strong North Atlantic oscillation, a negative North Atlantic oscillation signature. So according to what the teleconnections are telling us for Christmas Day, it gets very, very strong. So this is a couple of days after. It's still negative, which means that you do have a bit of a blocking signature. So that's going to want to slow things down and maybe force them to be a little bit further south. The high to the north might be a little stronger, but overall, it still doesn't look like something that would be a snow situation, all the way through. Maybe you're talking about a snow to rain situation again, but yeah, a lot's going to depend on the blocky signature and how important it is or it isn't.
Right, and things could change. It's still a week away, so I think in the immediate,
it's trying at least to make it look a little colder. At least this time around for areas where it usually snows, it's going to.
Right.
Up into New England.
Right.
And the longer term, well, we are still talking, Joe, about this major stratospheric warming event that's going to occur. Dr. Judah Cohen, who is an expert at these things, and we've had on the show before.
Right.
I saw a tweet from him today talking about the fact that we're talking about 140 degree temperature change in the stratosphere.
That's amazing.
That this may be the strongest stratospheric warming event ever observed,
Wow.
Which only goes back to, from NASA back to about 1979, 1980.
Right.
So that doesn't mean that we didn't have strong stratospheric warming events
We just
of
don't
the
have,
same magnitude. We just don't know because we didn't measure it
or whatever.
But this is big, and this could certainly have impact on the winter pattern going into January and beyond.
It'll be interesting to see. Remember last year we had, for the final few days of December and then into the first part of January, a similar stratospheric change, which led to some very cold temperatures around here. It did not last out the entire month of January, and in fact February was just downright warm. But it has not been exactly a frigid December. It was a cold November. December has not been overly cold. Who knows? We may change back to a frigid or a very cold weather pattern as we switch over into the new year in 2019.
Okay, Tom Brown says NAO not trending in the negative favors rain. If the NAO was strongly negative, this would likely be a snow event. No, Tom, that's not what I said, just to be clear. The NAO is going negative. It is actually, I think it's slightly negative now, but it's going to be strongly negative by Christmas Day. But you could have a negative NAO, doesn't necessarily mean that, the NAO covers a large geographic area, and it doesn't guarantee that your troughs are going to set up in the right place, in a place where you're going to get snow. There are other factors that are involved with regards to the upper air. It's not just the NAO. So just to be clear, I'm talking about what's going to be happening with the NAO through the middle part of next week, and it is going to be strongly negative. In fact, it may wind up actually being too negative next week because everything's getting suppressed and there's nothing happening.
Right.
And there is such a thing.
I mean, we had a lot of that in 1972-73 winter, where we only had about 3 inches of snow at Central Park for the entire winter season. I remember then, as a snow weenie, if you will, or one that loved to track storms, that a lot of those storms in that particular winter passed off to our south. It was just too cold, and there were a number of big storms in Virginia, in North Carolina, the Delmarva Peninsula, and I'm sitting there like on the sideline saying, Where is it? Why can't you come up?
By the way, you're getting comments about your tie.
My tie?
Yeah, so let's leave.
Oh, you mean my... This is... now...
Timothy Veltman pointing it out. He said, I was on the wrong video if it wasn't for the awesome snowman tie of Joe's.
Right. Well, this is...
Let me bring us full screen so everybody can really appreciate your taste in ties. You need to identify all those characters. Of course, we know who they are.
Well, of course, it's from Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. And, of course, dominating the scene here is Bumbles, the abominable snow monster of the North. We also have Sam the Snowman, voiced by Burl Ives. We have Rudolph here, and a couple of the misfit toys. I think the one that and Hermie, of course, the dentist.
Right. Which misfit toy do you have on there?
The one, the
choo-choo with the square wheels on the caboose.
Caboose, that's right.
And you have the elephant.
The spotted elephant. So there you go. Yeah, but it's great because I could wear this on the air, and when I wear my jacket, you see like 98% of the characters are not visible. But then after the shows are over, I could just take my jacket off and walk around the newsroom or walk around the premises here, and everybody, of course, says, "Oh, look at that tie," or whatever like that. I'd love to wear. I have a lot of Christmas ties, Joe, but they're mostly green, and as you are well aware, green will not cut it on our chroma key wall here, which is green.
No, my buddy Derek Wood, who's with who I've fished with in Pennsylvania, is near the Susquehanna River. By the way, great fisherman and a great guide. So dreams are real. Dreams are dreams. The word dreams, RREAL. Okay, that's his website and his Facebook page. Let him take you fishing, because he'll take you places and you'll find you some beautiful fish in some of the rivers upstate. Anyway, he says the rain just won't stop where he is, and he's never seen the Susquehanna so high for so long. And it's probably going to get higher, Derek, with the rain overnight and into tomorrow. But then there will at least be a break coming after that.
Is the Susquehanna River near the Susquehanna?
Susquehanna. I knew you were going to go there. I knew. Where is the Susquehanna Hat Company?
It's on. What street is it on? Bagel Street.
Bagel Street.
Bagel Street.
Bagel Street.
Bagel Street.
Right. I was born and raised on Bagel Street.
All right, Matt.
So was my brother.
Matt Schelling says we could be overdue for a snow-driven event, or.
Well, we got to get it cold again first.
Snow drought. Oh, wait a minute. Snow drought. Snow drought year. That's what he's talking about.
Well, look, I've said Joe, you're a witness.
Right.
I've said several. We are due for a subpar year.
Right.
Never have we had 6 out of 7 winters above average. The vast majority of winters in New York City records, if you go back and you do the math, it's something like 62 or 3%, if I remember correctly, of winters wind up being below average. Mm-hmm. So that's those are the numbers. And from 1970 to 2000, it was 25 out of 30 that were below average.
Right.
In fact, I could remember the one stretch that's really always stuck into my mind, because and knowing the world we live in now, I guarantee you, if we wind up with a subpar winter, I'm going to bet you right now, Joe, and I know you won't take this bet because you know I'm right. If we have a subpar winter, when it is over, we will be seeing post after post after post of people saying that it is a new era. We will never see any snow again. And I think back to after the 95-96 winter, 96-97, 97-98, 98-99, and 99-2000, 4 winters in a row. They were the worst as far as for snow lovers. They were horrible. I think all 4 of those winters had less than 20 inches for the season. I think 3 of the 4 had 10, and 1 of them only had 5.
Right.
And in fact, in that one winter that had 5, it didn't even snow once during the actual season of winter. It was one of those winters, one of those El Nino winters or La Nina. I'm not sure which one it was, but it was one of those years where there was probably no snow all the way up into northern New England. Mm-hmm. But I guarantee you, with the first subpar winter that we have, that's what we're going to hear.
But the irony of this, Joe, is that because of the fact that we've had so many unusually snowy winters, that we see the people who discuss the global warming and the climate change pointing to that and saying that's the reason why. That owes itself to global warming, because of the fact that the ice caps are melting, that the air over the polar regions is warmer, it's able to hold more moisture, warmer air is able to hold more moisture than colder air, and that eventually ends up getting snowed out, so to speak, over the Northeast. So they point to the fact that we've been having all of these snowy years as a reason to say take stock of global warming and climate change. The fact that we don't have any snow or below normal in snow is not part of that particular pattern.
That's not part of that conversation today.
Right.
But it would become part of the conversation.
Oh yeah, they would find a way. They would find a way to connect.
Right, and it's not that we're I take.
In other words,
I'm Switzerland with this. I really don't.
But
I don't know enough to. But you can't have it both ways.
Right.
Either you're going to argue it one way or argue it another.
Exactly.
So, but the bottom line is, in terms of the attitude of snow lovers, which is, I kind of get it. There was I was reading tonight a forecaster. Now I forgot his name. Apparently, he had the audacity and the sheer gall to suggest that the winter was not going to turn out to be anything spectacular, and he actually pulled back on his expectations for the next 3 months. And they just ripped him to shreds, from what I understand. And I would just say to those people who did the ripping, it's weather. For God's sake, lighten up. It's weather. This is not, I don't know, even know what, I can't even pick the word to make the comparison of what what folks are making. That the person who has made that forecast or changed his forecast, that's his work that shows that. That's his opinion. If you could disagree with it, you could maybe put arguments up against it, but that's what he thinks, and it's perfectly valid. I think you could come. I think there are a number of reasons why you could sit here and make valid reasons why the winter may wind up being subpar from the standpoint of cold and snow. I don't predict long range, so it doesn't matter to me.
But you know, you just pointed out we've had 6 out of the last 7 winters have been
here in New York City when we talk about New York area,
above normal,
and 9 out of the last 10.
And you go to one particular winter where it just happens to be below normal for a change, and people get all fired up and all upset, like as if it hasn't snowed in like the last 20 years.
And here it is, you know,
you can't have it all the time, folks.
Should I find my poem? Should I read my poem?
Are you going to read your poem?
Should I read my poem? Oh, I can't read the poem because I'd have to open up Facebook in a different window and find it.
Oh.
You know what? I'll print it up and then and save it maybe for tomorrow, because tomorrow's Friday.
Right.
And you and I won't. I'm out Monday.
Same here.
So I'll read my. I have 2 poems that I wrote on the theme of "Twas the Night Before Christmas," so I'll read them both.
Okay.
Or you could read one and I'll read the other.
All right, but they're both
we can read them together.
But they're both authored by you.
Authored by me.
Right.
Those.
So if I start
have this. Among my many talents, I have this odd one of being. I just can rhyme things.
Okay.
Very, with not a lot of effort. I'm not as good as I used to be in it. I used to just be able to.
If they ever find somebody who sounds like Wally Cox and they bring back the Underdog cartoons, you're the one, because Underdog always used to speak in rhyme.
Right.
So.
And those of you who might remember Bewitched, the old Bewitched show, there were a couple of episodes where Samantha comes down with this witch's disease, which is where she speaks in rhymes.
Okay.
And they have to get Dr. Bombay.
Dr. Bombay, Dr. Bombay.
Emergency, come right away. I can relate to that, all right? I can rhyme. So we'll save it for tomorrow. I'll print them up, and we will have a nice light moment as we head into the weekend before Christmas.
Joe R., you are correct. 2015 December trace of snow. 2015-2016 winter 32 inches. So
so it can happen, and that's all there is to it. And speaking of having, that's all there is to it. That's all there is to us tonight.
Yes.
So travel safely for wherever your Christmas destination is. Even though we still have one more day left in the work week, but some of you may have already decided that you're not going to make tomorrow the 5th day of your work week. In which case, have a Merry Christmas. And do travel safely with all this nasty weather around. I'll be coming up at the top of the hour, FiOS 1 News Long Island and FiOS 1 News New Jersey.
And I'll be on FiOS 1 News Lower Hudson Valley, where temperatures are still in the 30s and 40s, but I guarantee you, tomorrow morning, when you head out to work and school, they're going to be in the 50s. And if you don't step outside with an umbrella, you're going to get pretty wet.
All right, have a great night, everybody. We'll see you tomorrow.
Bye.